Day show. Sometimes that can be good and sometimes that can be bad. Mondays are like hard for me to, I don't know. What I mean by I don't know is that during football season it's easy. It's all right. We get in the mix. We can do all kind of stuff with when football season's here. But after football season's over, I mean, we could talk baseball, we could talk basketball. There's so many things we can get into, but I don't know. It's like the springtime stuff is just harder on me. I don't know why. I mean, I can find great things for us to talk about. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we could talk about freshmen that are going to make impacts. We could talk about all kind of things that are out there. But I want to start with something that Paul Feinbaum said. Now, normally I don't agree with anything that Paul Feinbaum says because Paul Feinbaum is a water boy for the two teams from Alabama. It's pretty much what it boils down to. If it's Auburn or Alabama, he is an absolute water boy. So, with that, I am going to talk a little bit about something that he said that is out there that I kind of believe in. And it's about the NCAA and how it's going to go away. He says, I don't think this is a sustainable model. I don't think it can be this way because it just moves so slowly, but it's going to come apart. The NCAA is on its last breath, and I think college football as we know it is on its last breath, and it's happening with unbelievable speed, supersonic speed that I could not have predicted. What he's talking about is the NIL and the transfer portal. So with that, I'm wondering, is he correct? Is college football completely doomed? Is it going to be, and we've talked about this before, but the way that he put it, the college football is on its last breath. When you say last breath, that means it's not going to be the same anymore. And I'm not sure if I'm buying that. Not sure if I'm buying that at all. I do think that the schools that are richer are going to, the schools that have more money are going to be the schools that are at the top of the world again. And, we talked about SEC TV money and the Big Ten TV money. Those are the two conferences that within the next 9 years, I think the payout, if I read it correctly, for the SEC is going to be like 168 million. Big Ten's like second with like 136 million, something like that. So other conferences are kind of trying to catch up. They really are. And that money means a lot. It really does. But I kind of agree with him to an extent on that, but I don't think college football is going to die. I really don't. Dakota Online says it's going to be the same, but it's going to be harder for teams to repeat, and teams are going to have to and settle with everything. Okay. I'm just at the point, though, where you see the different collectives for NIL that are going about, and the fact with the law that was passed last week in Tennessee, where assistant coaches and coaches can talk to these collectives and quite possibly move money into kids' pockets. I mean, that's basically what it boils down to. And you've heard the horror stories about, I say horror stories, but it looks like horror stories to us now because of what we're used to. But you see the stories where, okay, this player allegedly got X amount of money, and now it's all downhill from there. But I think the biggest thing that, in my opinion, that is going to make college football more and more vanilla is the transfer portal. If you look today, there are pretty much all the spring games have wrapped up with what we saw over the weekend. And I saw headlines where several different players from several big programs are, you know what, I'm moving on. I think that's going to hinder more than the NIL stuff, because kids can come in and look at it from this perspective. When you were 19 years old, 20 years old, were you always in your best state as far as I'm going to make concrete decisions and they're going to be the best decisions ever? None of us were. I mean, some of us still make mistakes now. But what I think it ends up boiling down to, though, is that, yeah, they can get the NIL money and they can come in. I think this is going to hurt G5 teams the worst, though, in my opinion. Power 5 teams, they'll be able to figure out ways through collectives and things like that to get these guys the NIL money they need to come to school. But in the end, you've got, I think the G5 schools, they may not have the following or the ability to get that money together. But getting back to what I was saying with Feinbaum saying it's on its last breath, I think that at one point there's going to be, I think a lot of the upper echelon teams, the Alabamas of the world, they're upset because they can't build teams. They can't just stockpile talent. They can't just, hey, I've got a 5-star lineman backing up my 5-star lineman. They can't do it because those 5-star linemen will transfer and they'll go somewhere else. And there's a lot of belly aching with that. So on one side of it, you could say, hey, I think that there'll be more talent that's evenly distributed across the country. Yeah, I get that. But it's not like you're going to have a guy that goes from Alabama that's going to, maybe go down to a smaller school. It's just, there's so many questions that are out there. But I think that when it comes down to it, I don't think college football is on its, quote, last breath, as Paul Feinbaum is saying. I just think there's going to be a change. And it's going to be, I think the TV money is the big thing with it, and the NIL money. That's going to be the couple of biggest things there. But having the ability to adapt, and great coaches can adapt. We've seen that before. Okay, the great coaches, they're able to take whatever it is you give them, and and make lemons out of lemonade, basically, or make lemonade out of lemons. There's the term. So when it comes down to it, though, I don't think college football is on its last breath. We'll take calls on that at 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Appreciate everybody checking out the show today. Hope your weekend was good. I do have a story I wanted to put out there. They kind of mentioned this at the top of the hour. NFL draft is coming up this week. Baker Mayfield, who, this guy annoys me, by the way. He put out a letter to the fans of Cleveland. I don't think he'll take another snap in Cleveland. But he put out a letter and then signed it with his middle name in it. It's like if my mom puts my middle name in my my full name with my middle name, I think I'm in trouble. What a way of signing off like he did in Cleveland. But there were talks that he's going to go to the Panthers. Now, Panthers fans are like, yeah, I don't want this guy. Don't want this guy at all. But you kind of know more about Mayfield than you do about some of these quarterbacks that are coming up. Remember, we thought it was going to be the Kenny Pickett show, and who knows at this point where to go. But per Ian Rappaport from the NFL, if the Panthers do decide to trade for Mayfield, it won't be before the start of Thursday's draft. Instead, they intend to make their draft picks starting at number 6 overall and then reassess their needs. So here's the thing. I think Mayfield's going to be a stopgap, meaning are they going to get a quarterback? Are they going to draft the quarterback they want? Is that quarterback going to be there? It's interesting that they are like, yeah, okay. Now, it could also be that there are so many folks that are out there that are say that the Browns asking price is just too high. But as of right now, the Panthers are sitting on Sam Darnold and PJ Walker as their quarterbacks. Can you say 5-12, sir? This story really got to me. It was about one top NFL draft prospect has, quote, major red flags. And they're talking about Georgia wide receiver George Pickens. And people are starting to murmur things about this guy's a boomer bust. The one wide receivers coach claims Pickens has some issues. Yet another wide receiver coach added that Pickens has just so many red flags, and they're big red flags. One says he's got some growing up to do. Why am I telling you this? Because I think a lot of these coaches will float some of these things out there. Man, we think this guy sucks, so he'll move down the draft board, and then they're able to get him at a lower pick and not pay him as much money. I truly believe that. I think that's what's going to happen there, because at one point Pickens was considered to be a first-round pick. Now, I don't know. I mean, I don't get to go to practice and see George Pickens play. He had great stuff as far as his combine numbers. People are talking about he's going to go in the 40s, maybe even the 50s as far as his pick goes. And they're talking about the torn ACL suffered in spring practice last year. But it's amazing how they talk some of these guys down. Amazing. They do that to, in my opinion, bring down their value on the depth chart or on the draft board. Justin said I was wrong about the Houston Gamblers covering. How about the Birmingham Stallions going 2-0? Yeah, man. Birmingham Team B. I guess that's what the Stallions are. They did well over the weekend. They are 2-0. And I missed on the Gamblers. Jason says he agrees with Pickens' maturity level. He does need to grow up a little bit. Yeah, we'll have to see on that. But have you noticed that if there's a player on the board, and by the way, it's the NFL draft is insane as far as the tests and everything else they go through. I posted on my blog page earlier about the Wonderlic scores. They're out for the quarterbacks in this the upcoming draft. And I tell you what, I'm going to give you a couple of these, and this is the interesting part. Allegedly, Bailey Zapp, the quarterback from Western Kentucky, had the highest score at 35. Malik Willis checked in with 32, Sam Howell at 34, Carson Strong at 22, Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati at 19, Kenny Pickett at 17, and Matt Corral at 15. Now, why am I giving you that? Because sometimes those numbers just aren't important. Dan Marino, Hall of Fame quarterback, 16 on the Wonderlic. Terry Bradshaw, 16 on the Wonderlic. He's in the Hall of Fame. Lamar Jackson has won an MVP, scored a 13 on the Wonderlic. Donovan McNabb scored a 15. And Jim Kelly's in the Hall of Fame. He also scored a 15. So sometimes I think some of these tests are a little bit out there and a little bit silly, and I think they want to bring guys down, and they may put some stuff out there to lower some of these guys down on the draft board. It's interesting, though, that Kenny Pickett, who I thought would score much higher than that, was at 17 on the Wonderlic. And see, now I'm already thinking about, wow, is Kenny Pickett is he going to have trouble picking up the playbook and things like that? I don't know. But it's interesting, though. And, of course, the draft comes up this week. Peg and Megan Online says, Rob's talking about someone else's maturity level. Yes, I am talking about someone else's maturity level. I was quoting a story. It wasn't like I was trying to be mature. I was quoting an actual story. So, yeah. Try to keep up. I know this is really hard for you. Megan Megan probably scored a 12 on the Wonderlic test. Maybe an 8. He probably got an 8. Then they thought it was a 12, realized he misspelled his name, and then gave him an 8. Hard time keeping up, man. Half my time is educating some of these folks in the chat room, which you can join, by the way, at foxsportsradio1400.com. Quick break. When we come back, we'll have more for you. If you want to read that stuff on the Wonderlic, go ahead. It's on the blog page, foxsportsradio1400.com. You can find it under keyword Rob up there. All right. More of the rundown when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. That is true. I got divorced from I never knew anything. I never had that commitment to knowing anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Yo, that's half the reason that I haven't sold my car, because I've got a Honda Civic and it gets really, really good gas mileage. I want like a Jeep. Then I don't want to have to pay I fill up my car like once every 2 weeks. Seriously. I may show my kids the movie that was from. I Know You Are, But What Am I? That's like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I might show them that. Why not? Johnny Depp talks like he has marbles in his mouth, by the way. How that guy has made so much money in Hollywood, I don't know. Jason, you need a new car. Go see Mazda of Columbia. They'll hook you up. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. Folks, we're talking in the chat room about gas prices and how they're expensive. Yeah. I did a podcast with my buddy Greg Hood of Mazda of Columbia. Go and check that out. We talk about gas prices and how there's a push to get people to go to electric vehicles and things like that. Yeah, go find the Mazda of Columbia podcast. Interesting stuff there about gas prices and how they affect you. And of course, you can go and buy a car at Mazda of Columbia. Greg's got all kind of cars down there, even though we have a chip shortage. So yeah. Billy says, went to trade my car in the other day, and the salesman asked, is that with a full tank? Very good, sir. Yeah, gas prices are insane. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. So I was also thinking about something that I read earlier over the weekend. There's always this talk about they have one team if you look at each conference, there's always a team that's the favorite. Like Clemson's owned the ACC for a while, so it's who's going to unseed Clemson. This is the year that X team takes out Clemson. The same thing in the SEC. In the SEC, it comes down to who's going to be the team that takes out Alabama. And I'm not talking about the 1 year that LSU did it. I mean, can go in and win a couple of games against Alabama over a stream of a year or two. Okay? So there's a lot of hype out there about the Miami Hurricanes. And there are a lot of people that really love what Mario Cristobal is doing down at Miami. The same thing can be said for, there are a lot of folks that really like Texas A&M and try to put them on par with where Georgia and Alabama are. But when I really sit back and I look at just what they have and with what they have coming back, do you really think that Texas A&M is going to be a team that can compete and beat Alabama and Georgia? And we don't really know who their quarterback is. Step back out of the box and think about that for a second. Yeah, you're going to go in and try to unseat two juggernaut programs. One's returning the Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback and has probably the best player in football in Will Anderson. The other has the guy that led his team over the Heisman Trophy quarterback and beat the best player in football in Will Anderson with Stetson Bennett. You think that, okay, we don't know who our quarterback is yet. We're just going to figure that out in fall camp, and we're going to be able to go in and just knock heads with Alabama or Georgia, and we're going to be able to compete. I'm not buying that. Now, I also think that Mario Cristobal has brought a breath of fresh air to Miami, and they're going to be, I think they're going to be a problem down the road, but winning the ACC this season, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. Jason says, get past the 8-4 season first, then start talking. Jacob says, more like who's going to take out Georgia and Pittsburgh. Okay. Hey, Pitt won the ACC last year. That's fine. I think that Jacob's problem is Jacob is so scared of Clemson. Every comment he makes is about how bad Clemson is. Bless your heart, Jacob. I mean, his team won the national title, and he doesn't really talk about them. It's just, anti-Clemson this, anti-Clemson that. Yes, Pitt won the ACC last year. Are they the team that could permanently unseat Clemson? They have the best shot. Big Barney Ross says Kentucky will try to blow smoke up everyone's defense. Funny. All right, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on The Rundown. On Fox Sports Radio 1400, of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. We can start with those two conferences. Are you buying more on Miami being the team that can theoretically unseat either Pittsburgh or Clemson? Or are you buying that it could be Texas A&M that does it in the SEC? Out to the phones we go. Welcome into the program. Good afternoon.
How's it going, Rob?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I wanted to respond to what you said about me always talking about Clemson. I barely talk about Clemson. I crack a joke every now and then, and that's it.
All right. Well, who do you think is going to be the team that can unseat Clemson or Pittsburgh from the ACC?
I think Clemson's going to win the ACC.
Okay, but who do you think has the best potential to unseat them?
Miami.
Okay. What makes you think Miami's got what it takes to make that jump this season?
I just think they have more potential than any other ACC team outside of Clemson.
All right. Well, what do you think about the SEC? Is it Texas A&M?
Well, no, it's Georgia and Alabama.
Yeah, but to unseat one of those two.
Yeah, it could be A&M. I mean, they have the potential to go 8-4, but they also have the potential to win the Natty. I mean, it's either way.
I don't know if I could go with that because they don't know who their quarterback is. But Billy with a good comment I'll read in just a moment. But hey, man, do you have anything else for the show today?
No, that's all I had.
Appreciate it, man. Have a great day. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Billy says Pitt is not a factor. They don't have Pickett. Pitt has a culture up there that they just win a lot of games. They really do. So, I mean, Kadon Slovis coming in, who knows at this point, man, how great he's going to be. Billy also says Wake Forest. Aaron says NC State. That's an interesting pick there. I like how they stole the bowl trophy, basically, which was kind of funny. Yeah, they use the COVID word, and they're not going to play. We're just going to come up anyway. That's kind of funny. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the rundown here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. We're talking about some NFL draft stuff. Some of the Wonderlic scores that were out there. Are you bought? What is it that you look for in a quarterback? Do you want someone that does really well on all of the test on the at the combine? Do you want someone that just wins a lot of games? Or are things like the Wonderlic a big deal to you? We'll take calls on that as well. But as far as teams that could unseat someone in the SEC or the ACC, which team do you think has the best chance? Is it A&M? Is it Miami? Is it LSU? I don't know who their quarterback is yet either. Just a lot of teams thinking they're going to be absolutely great, and they don't know who their quarterback is. I don't know how you can put a lot of logic into saying, I think this team's going to be great. We don't know who the quarterback is. Anyway, take a quick break and we come back. We'll have more for you. This is The Rundown. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Ha! I was watching someone the other day and they were talking about ways that Oregon could pull off the upset against Georgia. Shut up. Well, they do that for TV slots. I'm not saying I agree with it, but that may go away because in reality, you can watch. You don't have to have. I mean, you can watch whatever you want as far as streaming goes. So yeah, there's that too. I think Georgia has the best set of tight ends in the country. So what Big Barney Ross says you get cheap beer and wings on Thursday in Kentucky. I wonder why that is. No one wants Muschamp. Stop it. Well, welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Some of the comments from the comment section, they were talking about Thursday night games. And I don't think we've ever talked about that on the show. There's a couple of things I think need to go away. Neutral site games are one. And I don't like college football being played on Thursday night or Friday night. I think that it's something that is there for TV ratings, and it can give you an opportunity if you're a school that's, not quite on the level of one of the upper echelon levels that, the Alabamas of the world, that you can get your program out there and possibly can help you with recruiting. But I'm not in the camp of, hey, let's go and let's play games on Thursday night. And Friday night games are the worst. I mean, the absolute worst. Maybe I'm just getting to be old, but in my opinion, that's supposed to be the night we watch high school football. What's wrong with having high school football on Friday? On Saturday, you have your college football, and on Sunday, it is your NFL stuff. Just have those 3 days and then go from there. College kind of started with it with that Thursday night game, and then all of a sudden, now the NFL has a Thursday night game. It's interesting, to say the least. I think we can do away with that. And, we're at a point now where if people want to watch your game, they can watch it pretty much wherever, just from their phone. And I think that the next set of TV negotiations that come out, streaming is going to be a big part of it. Because I know a lot of people now that, they've cut the cable cord and they can just pull up stuff and stream whatever game they want. You can do that from your phone, do it from wherever. I think that's going to be a big thing. And if you can do that, then why have those games on Thursday night? Big Barney Ross agrees. Fridays are for high school. Yeah. 803-978-1832 if you want to join the program. 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us today. Several things that we have out there. I'm in the camp of getting rid of neutral site games, playing all your football, your college football on Saturday, high school football on Friday. Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, I totally agree about the Friday night games. It should be high school.
All right. What about the Thursday games are fine with you?
Yeah, a Thursday game's fine because I think, it gives you a little jolt going into the weekend, if it's a good game. But I would like to see maybe like the mid-major teams put in that Thursday game.
Maybe like the Sun Belt, having like Louisiana Lafayette playing App State. Games like that. Yeah, I can get into that. Instead of having a couple of Power 5 bottom feeders playing on Thursday night, that would be a little better. And then you highlight some of those other conferences. That makes sense.
Yeah, I really like it though. But the Friday night I don't like. And how does Clemson go back to Notre Dame this year?
I don't know how that scheduling worked out, but that's just the way that it is. I think COVID had something to do with it, but I don't know for sure. I don't know how all that worked out.
Did you see the two crowds at USC and Oklahoma?
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. I don't know, or a lot of fans are talking about, this is a big deal. There were 75,000 fans at the Oklahoma spring game. I mean, does that really matter?
A lot of people going to the spring game, though.
Yeah, well, they're going because they're seeing something they haven't seen before, and that's Brent Venables as their head coach. Yeah. The folks that were shocked by Southern Cal and the fact that no one was there.
I was shocked at Southern Cal, yeah.
Well, but these are the same fans that show up in the fourth inning for Dodgers games.
Yeah.
So, they just don't care out there. It's the same way with Lakers games. You watch a Lakers game, this is before the Lakers sucked. They would the arena down there be half full at the tip. They habitually show up late. So I don't know. Maybe they just don't care about college football out there. It could be that too.
And can I ask you a question about Debo Sanders? I mean, everybody's trying to bash him on ESPN.
Debo Samuel?
Yeah. Samuel, yeah.
Yeah, what's up?
But he's going into the last year of his contract. You know, right. Any player wants more than just that last deal in case something happens to him. So I don't see why he's getting bashed so much. And the fact that he doesn't want to play running back as much.
Yeah, he's in a unique position because he doesn't like the way that he's being featured. He wants to be paid like a receiver, even though they want to pay him like he's a running back. So he's the classic hybrid tweener player, basically. And when you look at it with the way that he's set up, he's not like Marshall Faulk and can play the way that Marshall Faulk played. So he's not going to get a contract like that, but that's the kind of contract that he wants. Now, on the other hand, the 49ers are saying, you know what? It was our offensive staff that put together the plays that made you get all those big numbers. And you should probably come with your hat in your hand a little bit. But he's taking a lot of hits. And I use this terminology. Todd Gurley is 27 years old, and he's pretty much out of the NFL.
Yeah,
so
he's out.
If I'm Debo Samuel, and he's, 24, 25, he knows he's only got 2 or 3 years left at best if he's taking all of those shots as a running back.
Yeah, if they want a running back,
Yeah, then he should try to get all the money that he can.
He can, yeah. I mean, I believe so too. But, you see people like Michael Irvin bashing him. I'm like, he's in the last year of his contract.
Michael Irvin needs to worry about the fact that his next deal with whatever I want to say what he was dealing with when he was with the Cowboys, but Michael Irvin needs to understand that he wasn't the type of player that Debo Samuel is. If you lined up Michael Irvin at running back, it wouldn't have worked out well for Michael Irvin. So there's that too.
And Debo Samuel's camp came out and said about how much the taxes are in California too.
And you know what? That's something that's valid too. Yeah, it is a big deal. Yeah. You're telling me I get taxed at what? Let's use a round number, 15, 20% more. And I can go play for the Dolphins and not have to deal with all that. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
absolutely huge deal. So, yeah. And see, the thing that bothers me with that is that people want to make all these things and throw shade at him. They're not the ones out there getting their noodle knocked around as a running back. They're just sitting there at the commentary table. So that bugs me.
Yeah, they're complaining about, he'll get $15 million a year. And I'm like, well, if he was a wide receiver, he would be getting close to 30 if they paid him like that.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's a big difference.
Now, I'm not in the camp that he should be paid like Devontae Adams is being paid. But I mean, he should be paid more than a running back. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, man. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it. Have a great day. All right, if you want to call up and talk about that, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Billy with a good comment. Other than watching grass grow, what else is there to do in Oklahoma? I mean, they have things to do in Oklahoma, sir. Why are we being hateful towards the state of Oklahoma? It's not like their state flower is a satellite dish. All right, quick break. When we come back, we'll have the final segment of the rundown this afternoon here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I would chase tornadoes. I ain't gonna lie about that. I have a whole thing with the whole chasing tornadoes. Kind of a weirdo with that. Don't they have like actual cowboys in Oklahoma too? I got some of those there, right? You can go and hang out with some cowboys. That's not bad. Outlaws. Shut up, Billy. Is that really on their license plate? Get out of here. I can tell you one thing. Even if I had some job that would pay my taxes for me, I'm not living in California. To hell with that. When ultra liberal people are saying, you know what, there's too many taxes in California for me, that should be all you need to know. My buddy Ant Mac, who used to work here for our hip hop station, he took a job in LA. He works for CBS radio out there. And he says it's insane what they have to pay in taxes and everything else. Told him, your ass didn't have to move. You could have stayed here. Yeah, I'm not buying the whole cowboy hat thing. Heck with all that. What's the purpose of a cowboy hat? Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Out to the phones we go. Welcome into the show.
Hey, it's Big Barney Ross. I just wanted to call in and say I'm going to advocate for Kentucky to play at least a couple of Thursday night games. I mean, what would be better than sitting at Buffalo Wild Wings watching Kentucky beat Missouri 7-9 in a shootout? And what that does is free up the weekend for the good teams like Georgia Clemson. You know, you can plan a whole day around the good teams on the weekend.
So get your bad teams and have them play on Thursday. All right, I got you.
I'm going to leave you with this. I think Notre Dame should have to play every Thursday until they join the conference. What do you think about that, Big Barney Ross? I'm out.
Maybe that's the way you can get them to do that. Here's the thing on that, though. That may force them to join a conference because NBC has their Thursday night lineup, which is where they used to put like Friends and ER and all that stuff back when they actually wrote halfway decent television. Now it's just television that looks down on the American male. Not to get into the politics of it, but if you watch anything on network television now, the men that are on it are looked upon as stupid idiots. Dads are dopes on TV now. There's no strong male on television anymore. It's just women running around and having coffee and basically, hey, my husband is like Paris Hilton's Chihuahua. Yeah. NBC doesn't want Notre Dame on Thursday night simply because of that. They got to cater to the housewives. And the housewives aren't going to watch Notre Dame football on Thursday night. So there's that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Papa B says they say that until they need a man to do quadruple bypass for them. Okay. They're talking about how they love Archie Bunker over there. Yeah, I mean, I guess what I said was a sexist statement, but I mean, it's absolutely true. If you don't believe me, go and find your favorite or go and look on whatever it is on network TV. It's all sappy nonsense. Tug at your heartstrings, or, you know, there's nothing out there about, you know, strong male folks anymore. It's just not. It's really not. Which is why putting Notre Dame there wouldn't work, because the housewives won't watch it. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the rundown. I'm not saying we have to have Sanford and Son like Bible Belt Beauties is talking about. I mean, I'm just saying that there needs to be a better representation of how men are looked at when it comes to network television anymore. That's all. It's not just sitting around coffee shops and hoping that the big strong man comes that can cry at a moment's notice. There you go. I'm killing all the female listeners of the show. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the rundown this afternoon on Fox Sports Radio 1400, of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. There's one other thing I wanted to get into today. The folks that are the most hilarious right now on Twitter to me, as far as our Braves fans. Yes, Atlanta Braves fans. The Atlanta Braves currently sit at 7-10 overall. And people are talking about, the season's over. Take calls first, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking about that in a moment. Here we go. Out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hello, Rob. It's Bobby and Casey, longtime loyal listener and caller here.
Hello, Bobby.
Well, the big event of the weekend, Colin Cowherd comes on your station. You're talking about these little chick flicky type television shows.
Yep.
Colin Cowherd says the top 100 shows most of them are live sporting events. Well, Tyson Fury won a great fight. He fought a tomato can, knocked him out with an uppercut in the 6th round. Did you bother to watch? You replied to me on Twitter. So let's talk about a real man sport. Heavyweight boxing champion.
Yeah, but I think that the problem with heavyweight boxing is a two-pronged thing. That fight took place at 4:00 in the afternoon because it was at Wembley Stadium in England. We don't have an American heavyweight that can go out and dominate. We don't have the Mike Tysons of the world that can just go out and knock people out. Hell, Tyson's still knocking people out on airplanes. That's why it's hard for me to sit back and say, okay, I mean, I paid attention to the fight because I enjoy the sweet science, but the casual fan, they want to see an American. I want to see an American knocking people out. And I'm not talking about a 145-pound American. No. They want to see a heavyweight. That's what sells tickets.
Okay. And then he's saying bye and bye American Pie. Now he's retiring because he's ducking and dodging Anthony Joshua and the other guy.
Well,
that's a real macho man sport. That's a real macho man, huh?
I guess so. I mean, I can't tell the man when to retire. It's not my noodle that's getting out there and getting knocked.
He's a millionaire.
Other guys. So
he's a millionaire many times over. I'm just being a funny guy.
I hear you,
He's a millionaire, and you know what his record is? 32-0-1. It's incredible. We're just hearing about him over here in the States now.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you follow boxing, I mean, you were with that, so yeah. All right, man. Hey,
don't forget everybody out there, Rob Nation there. May 7th, Canelo Alvarez fights the next tomato can. Set up the next big super bout against Golovkin.
They don't have anybody else to fight him, so yeah, I'm with you. That's a good point.
Yeah. That's all right. Boxing's still alive in this country. You just got to look a little bit hard for it and pay a little more extra money. Take care.
All right, man. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate what he said, but Americans want to see a heavyweight. Sorry. It's just the way it is. Rick Sanchez says, we have Logan Paul. Well, Logan Paul, I mock him, but does he fight at heavyweight or is he at light heavyweight? So Jackie wants to call about why Florida will go undefeated and win the national title. I only have a minute left in the show, so maybe you can come with that tomorrow. Rick says, I'm obsessed with noodles. Yeah, so? What's your point? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. As we wrap up the show today, look, I didn't mean to go off on the tangent there, but I think that's part of the reason that if there was a talk of what Big Barney Ross was talking about moving Notre Dame completely to Thursday nights, that's NBC would go away from it. But then again, they could probably go into streaming too, where Notre Dame could just be streamed on the Peacock. So, yeah. All right, later on this week, a friend of the program, Levon Kirkland, joins us to talk NFL draft. We'll get into who should be taken first. To be honest, does anybody know? I mean, this draft, it doesn't really have that one player that you look at and you're like, you know what? I want that guy. I want that guy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's any one player in this draft that's going to turn heads for years. In fact, if I were an NFL team, I would try to find the best offensive lineman or the best cornerback. There's not really a quarterback in there that, I mean, lots of people like Malik Willis, but I don't know if there's a quarterback in there that I want. People talk about Kenny Pickett, but apparently he's got hands smaller than my 11-year-olds, what I've been told. I don't know. No clue. Anyway, we'll talk some draft this week. We'll talk about whatever else comes our way as we roll along here on the rundown. Some of the folks that people want, it's pretty interesting. We have to get into that as we roll along here on the show. All right, don't forget Clemson Sports Talk is next. He is the czar of Clemson Sports by Buddy Lawton Swan. Appreciate him as always. He'll take you home this afternoon. Don't forget that. All right, we'll be back at it tomorrow. I'm on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. We'll see you then. I think that Jackie's got to be joking, right? That's got to be a joke, right? I mean, nobody really believes that, right? All right. Appreciate y'all, man. We'll see you later.